Here's the question that should bother you. In a world where money equals power, who's actually winning the arms race? And what does it tell us about where the world is heading? We're going to rank the top 10 richest countries by GDP and compare what they're actually spending on defense. Not just the raw numbers, that's boring. We'll break down spending as a percentage of GDP, the rate of growth, what each country is building, and what the numbers reveal about geopolitical priorities that official statements never will. And there's one country on this list, a close ally of the West, whose military budget spike in the last 3 years should have made every headline, but somehow didn't. Stay with me. Before we get into it, if you care about understanding how global power actually works, hit subscribe. We break down economics and geopolitics without the noise. Now, let's get into it. Let's start at the bottom of our list. Coming in at number 10, Canada. GDP of approximately $2.1 trillion. Military budget, around $27 billion. That's roughly 1.3% of GDP, and NATO has been pushing them to hit 2% for years. Canada spends more on social programs than on soldiers. That's a policy choice, not an accident. Number 9, Italy. 2.1 trillion GDP, similar size to Canada. Military budget, $32 billion, still under the 2% NATO threshold, but climbing. Italy's defense ministry approved its largest modernization budget since the Cold War in 2024. New submarines, new fighters, old political debates. Both Canada and Italy are technically wealthy. Both are militarily underfunded relative to their economic size. That asymmetry matters, and it's going to keep coming up.
Number 8, Brazil. The biggest economy in Latin America with a GDP around 2.1 trillion and a military budget of approximately 20 billion. Sounds big until you realize Brazil is protecting 8.5 million square kilometers. That's less than $2.50 per square kilometer of defense. For context, Brazil faces no peer military threat, but internal security costs are massive. The numbers don't tell the whole story. What would you spend money on if you had no major enemies but millions of citizens demanding security from crime? That's Brazil's actual defense dilemma.
Number 7, France. GDP, $3 trillion. Military budget, $56 billion, and growing aggressively. France has nuclear weapons, overseas territories on every continent, and an active expeditionary force. President Macron has called for Europe to develop strategic autonomy, less reliance on American military power. France isn't just defending France, it's building a platform for European geopolitical influence.
Number 6, United Kingdom. GDP around 3.1 trillion, defense budget approximately 75 billion. The UK punches above its weight. They have a permanent seat on the UN Security Council, a nuclear deterrent, and recently committed to spending 2.5% of GDP on defense, the highest target in Western Europe outside Poland. Brexit complicated a lot of things. The defense budget wasn't one of them.
Number 5, India. GDP approximately 3.7 trillion and rising fast. Military budget around 83 billion, third largest in the world. India shares contested borders with both Pakistan and China. It maintains the second largest standing army on the planet, and it's in the middle of a generational shift, moving from Soviet-era equipment to domestic manufacturing. India's Make in India defense initiative is about more than weapons. It's about not being dependent on anyone. Here's what's wild. India spends 2.4% of GDP on defense, more than most NATO members, but its per-soldier spending is a fraction of what Western armies invest. It's a numbers game played on a completely different field.
Number 4, Germany. This is where things get historically interesting. Germany's GDP is about 4.5 trillion, and for decades they spent less than 1.5% of GDP on defense, a deliberate post-World War II choice. Then Russia invaded Ukraine. Germany announced a 100 billion euro special defense fund almost overnight. Their 2024 budget crossed $90 billion. A country that once built its identity around restraint is now rearming at a pace that's making its neighbors pay attention. This is the story most people missed.
Number 3. Japan. GDP 4.2 trillion. For most of the post-war era, Japan capped defense spending at 1% of GDP, a self-imposed constitutional limit. In 2022, they scrapped it. Japan is now targeting 2% of GDP by 2027, which would make its defense budget one of the largest in the world. They're developing counter-strike capabilities, the ability to hit enemy missile launchers before they fire. That's not defense, that's a paradigm shift, and it's happening in the shadow of China and North Korea. Imagine if Canada suddenly said, "We're doubling our military and buying missiles that can reach foreign soil." That's the equivalent of what Japan just announced, except Japan is doing it with a $4 trillion economy.
Number 2, China. Official GDP around 18 trillion. Official defense budget approximately 225 billion. I said official. The Stockholm International Peace Research Institute estimates the real figure is significantly higher when you factor in off-budget items, military civil fusion programs, and paramilitary spending. China is building aircraft carriers, hypersonic missiles, cyber warfare units, and a space force simultaneously. The growth rate of China's military budget has outpaced its GDP growth for over a decade. That's not maintenance, that's ambition.
Number 1. The United States. GDP around 27 trillion. Defense budget for 2024, $886 billion. That number is almost incomprehensible. It's more than the military budgets of the next 15 countries combined. The U.S. has 11 aircraft carriers. China has 3. The U.S. has bases in over 80 countries. No other nation has one outside its own borders, or a small handful. But here's the thing people get wrong about American military dominance. It's not just about fighting wars, it's about not having to fight them. The presence of a carrier group in a region often prevents a conflict from ever starting. Whether that calculus is worth $886 billion annually, that's a political argument. The strategic logic, however, is hard to argue with.
So when you look at this list, the US at the top, China accelerating, Germany and Japan rearming, and countries like Canada and Brazil significantly underspending, what emerges is a map of the world's anxieties. Where countries spend money, you find their fears, their ambitions, and their honest assessment of what they think is coming. The next time you hear a politician say their country is committed to peace, look at the defense budget, not the speech, the spreadsheet. Numbers don't lie the way press conferences do. If you want to understand where the world is heading, you don't read the news, you follow the money. And right now, the money is moving towards weapons, technology, and strategic dominance at a pace we haven't seen since the Cold War. If this kind of analysis is what you're looking for, economics and geopolitics without the spin, subscribe. We release new videos every week. Drop your take in the comments. Which country on this list surprised you most? I'll be reading every response. See you in the next one.